So the teaching is in the activity. And it's very important that we participate in that activity. One, to make sure that those teachings are moving forward both for our children and our communities. And then two, so we don't lose it. One of the things that we don't want to do is not practice these cultural activities. So whether it's wild rice, whether it's hunting, whether it's our ceremonies, we need to make sure that we're continuing to practice so we don't lose them. Because the moment you stop practicing, you're going to show the Creator that you might not need them. And then he's going to take those back, or he's going to withhold those from you for a little bit. And then we'll have to go through this whole learning experience again.
Yeah, I began racing here in Bad River when I was 11 years old with my dad, Frank Bootsy Connors. Learned old school. It was hard work. It was all day, begging for a break. And there's no other way I would have rather had it. I think I raced with him until I was around 16. And then my older brothers came back and I started racing with my friends. That time though, everybody our age that's what we did. That's what you did. You went out and raced.
So there's a knocker and a polar, and one stands on the opposite end of the canoe from the other. And pretty important tip that I found out is to never look up, because you get vertigo and you get kind of dizzy and start swaying. So when you're knocking, you want to try to find your rhythm with the sticks, however way that is. I learned to bend the stalks over and hit it twice, go to the next, and just keep your rhythm going the whole time. When you're a polar, I definitely say to not let it get to the end, because if it gets stuck, you can go right in. I would just hope that more people my age or younger would get into it and be out in the rice fields more, because I don't really see that many people my age out there ever. There are a few, and that's pretty cool, but I wish there would be more.
One of the main things racing has really taught me is that as a Native American person, it's your duty to keep passing on those traditions that a lot of people, it seems as if this generation has lost. And he's done a great job of trying to keep me on that path of passing these on, and I'd like to keep passing it on.
Young, old, male, female. Be out there. There's an experience there that can't be explained. It's hard to put to words for people. There most definitely is a connection there.
At the hatchery, we take a youth race harvesting day. So you take them how to get out there and how to sit in the boat. And because I'm pulling you in the boat, I want you to sit in this boat, but I would take them and I'll tell them I'll rock the boat, and I'll tell them, now you rock the boat. And they rock the boat and they get the feeling of the canoe. And I'll say, so when you're doing that, I said, that affects me. So you got to learn to sit in the middle of that boat and be balanced and learn how to race like this. So you know what you're doing. If you're going like this, you can tip the boat. If you're not careful, you can tip the boat and you'll go in. And so them are some basic things we talk to them about, and of course even with the practice and stuff like that, we do the tobacco and everything else again.
Going back to one of the most memorable moments for myself on the Sloughs, it's pretty easy because it's just last year when me and Gloria were able to take my daughter Marcella out and really expose her and educate her about the wild rice in the Sloughs. Someone who was brought up and who was taught by his mother and father, I took it as a great moment of pride to bring my own daughter out and be able to teach her, because I was able to teach Gloria and watch Gloria teach my daughter. And so I think really, looking in hindsight, those are really the moments that you look back and are like, this is what we're here for. This is what we're supposed to be doing.
When I was about 9 or 10 years old, my father and 2 cousins, 2 uncles would go racing. That's how you learn to race from an elder. I have passed on my harvesting knowledge to my entire family. I have a daughter and a son. My daughter has 1 child, and he's in his prime right now. And he really, really likes to harvest rice. The other, my son has younger children, but they're not too younger. They're in their teens, and they all harvest rice. Every single one of our family, well, our granddaughter's too young, but every single member of our family has and will.
Me and my brother Squeak would go racing, but we always had to use this big boat, like almost like a 14-foot Lumacraft boat, type boat. It had to be wide. My dad never trusted us in a canoe, never. So I had to push that big old boat through the rice, and he had knocked it in there. And so it just went on for a couple of years. So one year my dad said, well, I think it's time we try a canoe. So me and Squeak went, all right, let's go. We're ready for it. So got ready, got our stuff in the boat. Squeak sat back there. I pushed us out. I stood up in not even 2 seconds, tipped the boat over. So that's probably one of the fondest memories I have. That was not our first time racing, our first time in a canoe racing. So my dad said, come on, walk to the shore. He said, get back in. Got back in, he made us go back. Try it again. We got it that time. So
I was taught how to harvest rice by many family members. My Uncle Walter, my Uncle Art, my Uncle Bob, my Uncle Junie, my Uncle Tony, and my Uncle Al. There's a couple more in there. And I was very fortunate that my aunties also took me out, my Aunt Nisi and my Auntie Diane. So very fortunate that I had a big family that took me out to the sloughs and showed me how to race at a young age. And we would all have these little contests to see who could outdo each other for poundage-wise. And my uncles always tried to hide what was called a sleeper bag in the canoe. And they would have a little pillowcase, maybe only that big. And they would fill it with rice as tight as they could, and they would hide under the canoe seats to have that sleeper bag. And so if say two different canoes came in and they were only that 4 or 5 pound difference, that my one uncle would always pull out that little sleeper bag of rice to try to beat the other uncles. And I do remember a certain number that sticks out, and it was 304 pounds in a day that they went out to get rice. 304 pounds. And you don't see that anymore.
I'm very grateful we were able to teach my grandson this year how to harvest rice. So they say you teach your grandchildren, your grandchildren's going to teach their grandchildren. So that our inherent right is always preserved. And that means a lot.